Today we have a 2008 Audi Q7. It has a V8 engine in it. It's here for a laundry list of issues. It's got an exhaust leak, as you can hear. There's a catalytic converter on the left side because the expansion clutch joint has failed. Needs a brake job. Has a history of misfires on startup. Sometimes a raw fuel smell on startup. Oil leaks. I've got dye in it. I just took it for about a 20-kilometer road test, 25 kilometers. I hope it's the oil filter housing at the back of the engine that's leaking over the O-rings. We're going to scan it and see what codes it's got and go from there. So I've already done a network scan, but I'm going to just go into the engine control. I'm using VCDS on my Veris Edge. Let's go straight into the engine, and we're going to go into mode 2, which fault codes. So we have a secondary air injection pressure sensor fault code. It's set last year by the looks of it, 2019 June. So we're going to have a look at that pressure sensor while we're in there. Random cylinder misfire, P0300. That's fairly current, June 20th. And there's the freeze frame data. Cylinder 8 misfire, June 20th. Cylinder 6 misfire, and that's also dated June 20th. So we have a copy of these codes saved already, so I'm going to done and go back. And I'm going to go into measuring blocks, and we're going to pick block 2 because that's got engine RPM. Let's have a look at block 15 because that's misfire counters. It's idling now and it's not missing right now. 15, 16, and 17 are misfire counters. 15 is for cylinders 1 through 3, 16 is 4 through 6, and 17 shows cylinder 8 current misfire counters. So it's not missing right now. Now I'm going to bring up memory address 106 here, because that one contains the fuel rail pressure. And I suspect what's happening with this thing is one or more of the injectors is leaking down after we shut it off. So now that we've got these data parameters on here, what happened to my RPM? There we go. I'm going to graph these. And I'm going to select fuel pressure. So this brown line that you see going across here is our fuel rail pressure. I'm going to go into the cab of the vehicle and shut it off, and that fuel pressure should not diminish. So as you can hear, I turned the key off to shut the engine off, but then I turned the key back to the run position. So we're going to monitor this fuel rail pressure here. I'm just going to put the mouse cursor where it's at 26.9, sorry, yeah, 26.9 bar, 27 bar, and the fuel pressure should actually climb, as I suspect it might leak down, which would indicate one or more of the injectors is leaking down. And again, it might depend on what temperature it's shut off at too. So we're going to pause this recording and come back in about 15-20 minutes. So after approximately 5 minutes, the fuel rail pressure has actually climbed to 29.930 bar. That's roughly 450 psi. Shut it off at 27. Now for about a minute and a half it started to decline, but now it's starting to rise. I did the same test a week ago and it failed miserably. The fuel pressure leaked off. Now it's holding quite well. I might shut it off, or I might start it up again and then shut it off again and see if we can repeat the same scenario. Because it did leak down prior, which would indicate one or more of the injectors is leaking. I'm sure it's got carboned up intake valves due to the carbon buildup on the intake ports and intake valve stems and seats. And that's what's contributing to the misfire. But a misfire on a startup, I think, is due to the fuel that might have leaked into the cylinder from one or more of the injectors. But right now, it's actually showing that they're okay. So I'm going to pause this recording and start it up again. So I changed the resolution on the graph here so that it's 50 bar total. So now we're sitting at roughly 25.7 in the middle. And it's idling, of course, as you can hear. I'm going to shut it off, but then turn the ignition key back on again like I did in the past, and it's 6:36 p.m. So as you can see, when I turned the key off, we lost communication. Now we restored it again. And we're at 24.4 bar, and you can see it's dropping. So it's 6:36 p.m. I'm going to pick up, see now it's dropping pretty significantly. I didn't move the mouse cursor, and you can see the brown line here has dropped now down to 22 bar. He said that if he shuts the vehicle off hot, you know, like you run into the corner store, be in there for 5 minutes, come back out, restart the vehicle, and it'll stumble. And sometimes you can smell raw fuel. And that would concur with one or more of the injectors leaking. Most of the misfires appear to set on a hot restart. Now you see it's dropped down pretty good now. Yet the first time I just did this, it actually dropped about 2 bar and then went back up again. So you can see it's down to 16.9 bar. So one or more of those fuel injectors is leaking. So that's our task tomorrow. I'm going to let this thing cool off tonight. We're going to pull the intake. We're going to do injectors. We're going to carbon blast or walnut shell blast the intake ports. We're going to take the oil filter housing off. I put dye in the oil, as I mentioned, so we'll have an opportunity to see if we can see the dye with a black light anywhere. And we're going to fix that exhaust leak tomorrow. So that's actually dropped down to about half of what it was before in 2 minutes. Interesting. Okay, well, tomorrow's another day. So after 4 minutes, the fuel pressure is starting to rise again. As you can see here, down here it's back up now to 13.73 bar, and it's actually steadily climbing, but it did drop significantly the first time. I'm going to start it again and shut it off again. You didn't hear that or pick that up on camera, but it actually misfired when I fired it up. I wonder if it shows in the misfire counters. So, yes, look at that. 4 and 5. Well, this thing is definitely getting a set of injectors. That's exactly what the customer was describing. It would misfire on a hot restart just after you ran into the corner store to buy a bag of milk, and sometimes you'd smell raw fuel because of the exhaust, I guess, if it got blown towards the cab area of the vehicle. So that's kind of cool that we captured that.
So this morning we're going to start disassembling this Q7. I'm going to start by removing the air induction components, so we can get a little bit more room here. We're also doing spark plugs on this thing, so we're going to have to remove all the coils. We'll shoot little short video clips along the way to summarize what needs to be done in these steps to disassemble this thing. So there's the engine intake manifold off. It's quite a chore, especially getting access to some of these fasteners that hold this induction pipe into place. We are going to remove it now in order to get this oil filter housing off. You can see the oil residue down in the bottom of the valley here. That's, I'm sure, leaking from these O-rings back here on the oil filter housing. We also are going to do walnut shell blasting of the intake manifold, or intake ports I should say. The intake valves are quite carboned up, as you can see. The intake manifold is a bit of a challenge to take out. You have to lift the front up about a foot because these fuel lines are rigid and you don't want to bend them. So the intake manifold has to come out in this manner. Just the rest is just fasteners, and we did take these lift eyes off the front to give us a little bit more clearance. So I think we're ready to start cleaning pieces and parts up. But before we go too far, I'm going to pull these dividers out of the ports and stuff these ports full of paper towels so we don't drop anything inside the engine. So there's the oil filter housing removed, and you can see that the figure 8 O-ring set is where the oil looks to be coming from. There's about the only way that you can get oil up in the top of the engine valley here is from that O-ring set. And then there's one at the very back there as well. So plug the cavities with hydraulic caps or something appropriate so that nothing gets in there. I've got the intake ports blocked off. We're going to remove the fuel rail now to access the fuel injectors. And this is a crankcase vent line. Okay. So the service literature says to remove the fuel rail and pull the injectors out. Well, that's not happening very easily. Obviously, we've got a pair of vice grips clamped on this injector, and we're using a heel bar to try to pry it out of the cylinder head, twist it back and forth, penetrating fluid. They're a challenge to get out of here. So there's the 8 injectors out. Wow. Combination of prying and heel bars and vice grips and penetrating fluid, and there's only, I think, one injector that actually came out that could be potentially reusable. The rest of them were all destroyed in the process of removing them. The carbon deposits under the Teflon seal, behind the Teflon seal, it just doesn't come out of the cylinder head very easily. So about an hour and a half to get the intake off, and another hour and a half to get the damn injectors out. So here's my walnut shell blaster, Harbor Freight or wherever, and if you look in the cylinder you can see that I've blasted this intake port, and it looks pretty clean. You can see it on the camera here. A lot better than it did, that's for sure. So 7 more to go. So there's the injectors about to be reinstalled. Got all the intake ports cleaned, and there's a little bit of walnut shell debris in the bottom of the engine valley here, but it's not going to hurt anything. We're going to clean it off with some brake cleans before we put that oil filter housing back on. Make sure you clean all the seats for the injectors so that there's no oxidation. And of course the injector does not come with this upper ring and this retainer. You have to buy those separately, and good luck sourcing those, at least here in Canada. It was a pain in the butt. So there's the fuel rails back in, injectors installed, intake ports all clean, new O-ring seals on the oil filter housing back there, and we're ready to install the intake manifold now. I think we've got everything. We did take this black plastic piece, the air induction system, out to reach back there because we were doing the rear left downpipe flex joint. So we're going to put the intake in now.
So there's the engine mostly back together. We're just filling up the oil and the coolant. The intake manifold bolts are 8 Newton meters, which is about 70 inch-pounds, then 9 Newton meters followed by 90 degrees. The rest of the bolts are pretty much straightforward. Bit of a challenge back there getting that air induction pipe back onto the throttle body and getting at the 2 back bolts back here from the back. But we're pretty much ready to fire it up. Well, there it is, back together and running again. We're going to let it warm up and check all the fluid levels, and then we're going to recheck the fuel rail pressure and see if it holds now when we shut it down. So it's currently running now and sitting at about 25 bar of fuel pressure. So I'm going to shut it off and turn the key back on, and we'll see how it fares. And of course, when I shut it off, I lose communication, but then it reestablishes it. So here's the fuel rail pressure, and it should climb. And it is climbing now. So I'll pick up after a few seconds here, a few minutes here. It's 10:25. So after roughly 4 minutes, it's actually climbed to 68 bar, which is about 750 psi from 27 before. So this one is definitely holding pressure now and building pressure, and it builds pressure because of the hot soak that the engine's going through. Like normally the fuel will be circulating through the rail and returning to the fuel tank, but now it's static, so it's heating up and expanding. That's why it goes up. Be interesting to see just how high it goes. So after about 15 minutes, it's actually risen to 101 bar, which is over 1450 psi. And that's just static pressure due to the hot soak. So it's definitely improved from where it was before yesterday when we scanned it and graphed it. So we'll call this one a wrap for now. We still got other work to do on the vehicle, control arm, brakes, but that's another day.